If you've been thinking about going to Vietnam to teach English, this video could help you achieve your goal and do it in the fastest and most efficient way. You'll be prepared and be ready to roll when you hit the ground in Vietnam. If you're planning on going to Vietnam to teach, or maybe you're on a tourist visa in Vietnam and you've made a decision to explore teaching as a way to extend your time abroad, this might be the video for you. Well, you certainly aren't alone. Thousands of teachers have had great experiences teaching in Vietnam, and many more are looking into it as an opportunity. What we're going to look at in this video is getting the paperwork and all the other requirements prepped for Vietnam so that you can keep your costs down and achieve your teaching goals fast. While you can find a job online, it really isn't the best way to find a teaching job in Vietnam. The schools have had a lot of experience with online applicants, and they don't want to waste time with someone who isn't ready to go to work, meaning that you need to be in the country. While it is possible to find a job online, you might arrive and the school might say they don't feel you're right for the job. They don't like your accent, they don't like the country you're from, they don't like your color. There's a lot of reasons other than qualifications that can be presented to you. Most schools want you to be in person and ready to go to work. And they'll make the decision whether you're qualified or not, based on the paperwork you bring them and on what they see when they see you. Now, the first thing you need to do is decide where you're going to live and teach. Vietnam offers a wide range of living standards, from big urban areas to small provincial locations where you can settle. If you like the ocean and you like the beach, you can find plenty of coastal cities that'll offer you a chance to live by the ocean and teach by the ocean. If cooler weather is what you're looking for and mountains are more your style, you might try De Lot, or you may go further north where it's really cool, even snows. You can start your search on the web. YouTube has a lot of videos on Vietnamese locations and teaching in Vietnam and living in Vietnam. You can also find a lot of research material online. I would certainly advise you to do this first. Moving around during your limited time to get a job and get your necessary paperwork done can be expensive and make finishing your paperwork much more difficult. Of course, the best way to make this decision is, if you have the resources to do so, make an expeditionary trip to Vietnam and visit some cities. Pick the top 2 or 3 locations where you'd like to teach and go there. This would be absolutely the most valuable experience that you could get before you decide to move to Vietnam. But if this isn't possible, do your research online. You know, English isn't spoken much anywhere except in tourist areas. You might find it a bit difficult to get information when you're on the ground there. But Vietnamese are friendly and they're helpful people, and if you find a friend that speaks English, that'd be a great help too. If you can't go to Vietnam to explore, then do your homework and try to pick a spot that fits your needs. Are you looking for work near the beach or looking for a higher salary in an urban environment? It would be really good to have these choices made before you venture off to Vietnam. Salaries are another thing that people always ask about, and I will tell you they vary widely depending on the type of school and the location where you decide to teach. Salaries could be anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 a month, and maybe even more if you have a specialty. But that isn't really something we need to cover here. You can expect the bigger cities like Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, Da Nang, they'll generally pay higher salaries than the smaller venues. Other than driving a motorbike in Vietnam's awful traffic, getting your paperwork and credentials together and getting your school involved in helping you get a work permit and TRC, temporary resident card, probably going to be the most difficult task you face when you arrive in Vietnam. Getting your paperwork in order consists of 2 things. 1, the things you can do in your home country, and 2, the things that can only be done in Vietnam. Hey, nothing's impossible. but getting anything done in Vietnam can be at very least a challenge. So let's start with getting your paperwork in order in your home country. You'll definitely need your original bachelor's degree and additional certifications if you have them. Originals of any additional certifications could be things like special ed, sports, phys ed, things like that. You'll definitely need your teaching English as a foreign language certificate, and an online course is perfectly acceptable. You'll also need a police clearance, just a local one in the area of your residence, not a national or FBI type police clearance. Those take a long time, and you might not want to wait for that, but it's not needed. You just need a local one. Then you'll need a copy of your CV or your resume, whichever is appropriate. You're going to need copies of all these things too, and translations. And most of that can best be done in Vietnam. For your bachelor's degree, I would advise getting a certified copy from your university if that's possible. The first thing you should do when you get to Vietnam, other than finding a place to stay for the night, is to look up online and find a local hospital where you can get your physical exam and paperwork for foreign workers. Some hospitals only will accept local patients, so you should definitely look around to find a hospital that will accept foreigners. Most of the district hospitals will. Usually this isn't a problem in the larger cities. You're also going to need a place to live. Personally, I'd stay in a hotel until I found the school that fit my needs and that I fit their needs, and then look for an apartment. The place you choose is going to be in contact with the police, and your landlord will be responsible for reporting your residence to the police every month. You don't have to do this, but you do need to get a copy of it and keep it with your paperwork. There's really not a lot to this, but you might want to check with the school and see if there's any special requirements that they might have for the lease that would help them when they take your paperwork to the labor board. So what happens next? Well, once you found a job and you found a place to live, or are in the process of finding a place to live, the school is going to take your paperwork to the labor board. And the labor board is going to make a decision as to whether you get a work permit and TRC, temporary resident card. This usually takes about 5 days for the school to accomplish this, and after that, you're home free. Now, the big problem that you're going to face is timing. Vietnam right now only has a 30-day tourist visa, and you've got to get everything done in 30 days or leave the country and then come back. And that can be a little expensive, and it's really unnecessary. If you've got your paperwork in order, you should be able to do everything you need to do in the 1 month you've got. If you don't make it, you can always go to Cambodia and then turn around and come back. Really easy to make a visa run. Overall, having your paperwork in order and complete is going to be the most important thing you do when it comes to getting a job. People that don't show up with the proper paperwork can absolutely be stalled and not be able to get everything done on time. It could take weeks to do things that should only take a couple of days. Having your paperwork in order is the most important thing you can do. You know, another thing you definitely want to do is make copies of everything. Make sets so that you can drop sets at schools when you go to apply. You may not get the first job that you apply for, so be prepared to leave sets of your data and your paperwork with a lot of schools. You may have to visit a number of them. Actually, the demand's pretty high. You really have an advantage in negotiating salaries and work schedules and things like that. Work schedules in Vietnam are a lot different than they are in the US. You probably will be teaching 20 to 25 hours a week, and your schedule will be maybe day, maybe night, maybe days and weekends. Your classes may be kids, little ones, even kindergarten. You may not want to teach kindergarten. You may want to teach older children. Well, it may not be possible. So the best thing to do is find a job, get in a job, and then if you don't like it, you can always look for something else. You'll probably have a contract. In your first contract, you might want to only keep it for 3 months so that you do have an opportunity to move if you don't like what you're doing. Also, remember this. In Vietnam, everything is negotiable and everything changes all the time, and usually without notice. The government will change the rules on visas and work permits and not tell anybody until the last minute. Even though you have a contract, the schools can change the times and mostly can change anything they want, and you really can't do a whole lot about it. You're the foreigner, and the foreigner is always wrong. Best to get everything in order and make your first contract short. If you like that school, you can stay. If you don't like that school, you can be looking for something else. But like I said before, the main thing is to have your paperwork in order and complete when you arrive in Vietnam, and then get that physical, because if you don't, that can put you off for 2 or 3 days or maybe a week, who knows. Get it done. Get it done fast. Once you've completed that, you can go on your job hunt, but you can't really look for anything without a complete paperwork package. So don't show up unprepared, and don't drop the ball once you get to Vietnam. I know it'll be tempting to eat the food and drink the beer, but main thing, hey, get that paperwork finished. You know, I spent 9 years in Vietnam, and I've got a lot of friends that are teachers there. I've had teachers that are friends and contacts that have had terrible problems with immigration and the labor board in getting their TRCs. And a lot of it is just because they're unprepared. Other things that can cause problems is the rules can be changed just any time. That happened to a lot of people during the pandemic, and a lot of people got thrown out of Vietnam. So you don't want something like that to happen to you. You want your paperwork to be in order and everything to be straight. Another thing that I would highly recommend is whatever you do, do not use a travel agency or agency to help you with your paperwork. Do it yourself and let the school help you a little bit. They definitely will give you some guidance. The agencies, they are unscrupulous. You may find a good one and you may not, but whichever you find, you're going to spend a lot more money getting your fees paid and things like that than you would if you just do it yourself. The immigration department is the only one you'll have to deal with, and they have people there that speak English, so it shouldn't be too big a problem. I've been to the immigration department many times, and sometimes it's a little difficult, but it's always doable. You can get it done. My advice to you is, whatever you do, stay away from agencies. If the school wants to hire an agency, that's fine. You're not in on that. Let them do it. Don't get involved with an agency. Your fees can be enormous. Something that normally would cost 3 or 4 million Vietnam dong, which is around $100, could wind up costing you $300 to $500. Just don't do it. Stay away from them. You'll be better off. This is JR, the TextPad OTG, saying thanks for watching.